the whole Candice Owens controversy. And I'm just going to play the audio. I'm going to comment along the way. But essentially what it seems like she is doing is she is blasting Benjamin Netanyahu, blasting Israel, and blasting supporters of Israel for going after Charlie Kirk, obviously when he was alive, as he was having some second thoughts or some concerns about how the war was playing out in Israel. And so when that happened, when he started having some second thoughts, he got attacked by a lot of, he has said this, by the way, Charlie Kirk has said this, pro-Israel forces. And so I'm going to play this audio from Candice Owens. This was yesterday. And as typical Candice Owens style, she's not taking any prisoners. Listen.
Charlie was at that moment. He says that he is receiving messages calling him an anti-Semite. So how can you lie right now and dispute it? And better question, why are you lying? I don't like little lies. I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me that just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay. Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in. And we'll speak about that more. More people are going to come out with information. This is all inevitable. Okay.
All right. So Charlie Kirk has always been incredibly, and I mean incredibly pro-Israel. And you can do, like, both things can be true. You can be pro-Israel and also question the constant support of the war. I mean, I believe that you can. You can tire of supporting Israel. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have such concerns. I'm a very big supporter of Israel. But if there's somebody who also says, I'm getting tired of the war, please tell me how this is, pro-America and so forth, I totally get that too. Like, I can see that perspective too. So pro-Israel, of course, you believe that Israel is simply defending itself. But, some people say, and Charlie has said this, that he had begun to question where this whole thing was going. Now, realize the people that are saying this, by and large, have been anti-Israel, right? The people that have been going after Israel and the war are anti-Israel. You don't see a lot of conservatives, and certainly not a lot that are to the point of fame that Charlie Kirk was, being so pro-Israel, but also questioning where this war was going. Now, certainly Candice Owens is somebody who is not a fan of Israel. I mean, her distaste and disgust for Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, I mean, this has been a long-going thing with her. So people are just saying, oh, this is Candice Owens being Candice Owens. And she put Benjamin Netanyahu on full blast. This is more from Candice Owens.
And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was, fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing. Okay. He was doing a ton of podcasts in America. He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went on to Brandon Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast. Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk's show? Homie very quickly told us that Charlie was penning love letters to him in May. I just love you so much. It's amazing. They were so close. The boys just hits him up like, hey, I know we're fighting this 97,000 front war because we're always the victims, but do you want to just come and maybe stay at my place for the weekend here in Israel? Like, that's the vibe that Bibi was rushing to present to the media. So why didn't he do Charlie Kirk's show?
So that's more. And again, you could just tell, I mean, she is oozing in anti-Israel sentiment, which, by the way, is her right. So now people in Charlie's camp are pleading with her to stop. Ian Miles Chung, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he is saying that a lot of this that she is alleging is simply not true. In the next cut that I'm going to play, she basically says that the Jews, and I'm putting that in air quotes, right, are trying to take over or were trying to take over Turning Point. I'm going to play this and let you decide for yourself.
It feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover, okay? Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas. Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to, and he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead, and those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly trying to set in stone that, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody ask any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it. Okay.
So people are calling Candice Owens, a grifter and all of these other things. And again, this guy, Ian Miles Chung on the socials. Candice Owens, he says, has officially broken the sound barrier of conspiracy. It's not enough to hint or just ask questions. He says she is shamelessly insinuating that Charlie Kirk was murdered by the Jews so that they could seize Turning Point USA. And the proof, he says, her common sense. That's it. He says no evidence, no sources, just the same trust me, everyone is telling me privately routine that she always pulls. There is no doubt that Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel. There is also no doubt that there were times when he held a debate, if you will, talking about the pros and cons of, America's support of the Israel-Gaza war, the Israel-Hamas war. So he had some concerns. And so the allegation is, by Candice Owens, is that because of those concerns, that Benjamin Netanyahu and his supporters came in and essentially were threatening Charlie Kirk. You had donors, they say, that were pulling donations and so forth. And people within Turning Point are saying that's not true. Charlie's inner circle, Charlie's producer, is out there now saying that this is not true. Joel Berry is over at the Babylon Bee, managing editor, and was a friend, apparently, of Charlie Kirk. And he posted this. Charlie Kirk's pastor, Rob McCoy, asked a few of us to pass along his statement about the Candice Owens mess. He says, Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candice Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candice, never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candice Owens. He says, my only comment I offer regarding Candice is this. I only wish at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candice or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. So you have a lot of people that knew Charlie Kirk, that loved Charlie Kirk, that worked with Charlie Kirk, that are saying that what Candice is doing is basically gravy training off of his death and inserting her in a place where she should not be going, and particularly at this point in time. Now, I'm going to play some audio from Charlie Kirk when he was on with Megyn Kelly about his experiences that I believe this is what Candice Owens is talking about, because there is some, and I don't know how much, but I see where she's going with this. And when you hear Charlie Kirk on with Megyn Kelly, then you will say, oh, I kind of see it. The Super Text line, by the way, is open and not surprisingly very active with with this segment. Love or hate Candice, and I knew that I was going to get roasted on this either way. What were you saying you have, because one of the things that Candice Owens did was she talked about Bill Ackman and about how Bill Ackman was trying to persuade Charlie Kirk.
Oh, she didn't say persuade.
Okay, what did she say?
Persuade would have been, she said pressured.
Pressured,
And
okay.
persuade would have been the proper term. So Ackman released a big, long form post on X yesterday addressing those accusations by Candice Owens. And then Charlie's producer, I forget his first name, last name Colvey, he confirmed Ackman's account of this and his relationship with his old boss. And so directly from the producer, I have been asked about Bill Ackman's event more than a few times now, so I asked our staff who were traveling with Charlie to find out what's true and what's not. His team was with him 100% of the time when he wasn't in his hotel room. Here's what they told me. Bill never yelled at Charlie, never pressed him on Bibi, never gave him a list of Charlie's offenses against Israel. There was concern raised about having Tucker at SAS. We don't believe that came from Bill. And Charlie's reply was, honestly, people telling me not to have Tucker makes me want to have Tucker, and I'm going to lock him in.
And here's the deal. Then that SAS, I believe that was the event where they were going to have both sides, because that's what Charlie Kirk was about. Mm-hmm. Both sides. And there's nothing, so I'm not getting upset, but there's nothing wrong with being pro-Israel and stepping back and saying, are we still on the same page?
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that.
And to try and place potential motive on Israel that because Charlie had questioned the methods, somehow he was going to make millions of other Americans believe that as well, and that was going to blow back on Israel in a negative way is kind of crazy.
And there was a word of $150 million donation or bribe, whatever you want to call it, to Turning Point so that he would effectively shut up about Israel. That was one of the accusations as well. And people are saying that's not true. Other people are saying it is. Bill Ackman there is apparently saying that it is not true. But I want to make sure that I get this in, because I just played you the audio of Candice Owens, where she is talking about the pressure that Charlie Kirk was on regarding all of this. Because don't forget, Turning Point USA, they are about donations. And so if you're talking about reservations about where Israel is going, and if you're talking about where you love Israel, you support Israel, but you're showing concerns. And then all of a sudden you are getting all of this blowback, which is what Charlie Kirk was getting. Then I see where Candice Owens is going here. Now, I'm not anywhere near, please trust me when I say, I'm not advocating for Candice Owens and her position on this. I'm not. But I'm trying to just give you all of the perspective here so that you understand. And of course, I'm getting blasted for it, but whatever. So this is Charlie Kirk on with Megyn Kelly. Both had their reservations about what was going on in the Middle East. Charlie Kirk was on Megyn Kelly's show, and they spoke about what was going on with him and her and the blowback they were getting for talking about their reservations regarding what was going on in the war between Israel and Hamas.
The behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megyn, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like, some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megyn, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. Yep. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the fifth time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megyn. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this.
Right. And so one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to keep Tucker Carlson off of either the TP USA events and basically they wanted Charlie Kirk to cut ties with Tucker Carlson because he has had a lot of issues with Israel as well and how the war is going. And apparently Charlie Kirk refused. So now basically what's going on is you've got all of these people that are insiders or what have you that are chiming in with all of this. And I don't know what the truth is. I don't. I'm just trying to tell you the story. Because I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a big fan of Candice Owens. But I'm also just trying to give you the perspective of what in the world is going on with this. Because hearing Charlie Kirk's story and Megyn Kelly's story does give you a bit of perspective into what Candice Owens was saying. But I would also say that for Candice Owens, a lot of people are accusing her of intimating that Israel took out Charlie Kirk. A number of things can be true. Charlie Kirk may have been getting a lot of pressure and clearly was getting a lot of pressure from Israel and their advocates. That's number one. Number two, it is also true, or could be true, that a mentally ill guy out of Utah with his, furry-loving trans boyfriend and all of those activist groups like Antifa and so forth, the terrorist groups that were, plotting against Charlie Kirk, took him out. So all of those things can be true. I want to play one more audio bite from, and I know I'm running late, but I think this is important. This is one more audio bite of Charlie Kirk talking about what he was going through when he was dealing with all of the pressure. There's also people online that are saying, by the way, that during this interview with Megyn Kelly, and you can hear the stress in Charlie Kirk's voice. There are people online that are saying, who knew Charlie Kirk, that he, at this point in time, will you look up when this interview was for me, Sam? Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. What was the date of this interview? They say that Charlie Kirk at this point in time was fearing for his life.
But then all of a sudden, like, I host a person that I moderate the debate of, mind you, right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper paranoid, like, we're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice. But it goes to the point where, if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megyn?
Yeah, so I have tried really hard to give both sides on this. Send your hate mail to 615-737-9986. Joan is here.
Hello.
Sam is here. I'm here. Chris is here.
What's up, guys?
I've been called a spreader of conspiracy theories. I've been called an anti-Semite.
I thought you did a good job on that segment.
But thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Hey, real quick, before we get into that, our friend Ron and his son Scrappy?
Yes.
We've met him at a bunch of events.
Yeah.
It's Scrappy's 34th birthday today, so I just want to say happy birthday, Scrappy. One of the best
Scrappy,
guys I know.
Love you. Always meet them time and again at our events.
Love the name.
They're the best.
Oh, Scrappy's awesome.
Yeah.
Ron is great, too. So happy birthday to Scrappy.
But no, going back to this segment, I thought that you did a fantastic job. And I talked about this maybe 2 days ago, or it might have been yesterday. I don't know. Yeah. All my days are melting together, to be perfectly honest with you.
You mentioned it 2 days ago. You went there yesterday, and this story just sort of keeps snowballing. And so what I was desperately trying to do was just explain it, And so 0756 says, your spewing of conspiracy theories is disgusting. He was murdered by the lover of a trans person. I said that.
Yeah.
The Jews didn't kill him. I said that.
And you also said that's what she's inferring, and you don't agree with that.
Right.
Which I'm with you 100%. That being said, I have worked at Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
Yes, the donors place pressure on Charlie.
Yes.
That's how it works.
That's how nonprofits work, folks.
It's been that way. Yes, there was backlash because of Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson.
Right,
that is well documented. Like, that's not even we're not speculating.
Right.
that's in black and white. You can find all that for yourself.
That's the Megyn Kelly, where I played the audio of he and Megyn Kelly, which, by the way, was a month ago. I thought it was older than that, where he was talking about the reaction to Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, and he was the moderator of a debate basically for or against America's support of the war between Israel and Hamas. And in true Charlie Kirk nature, he had both sides. He had Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith on. And Tucker, of course, we all know Tucker is anti-Israel on this. And I don't really know anything, to be perfectly honest, about Dave Smith. But he said in that clip that I played, the amount of crap that he got for simply talking about it. And I think that he is well within his right. Any American is well within their right. By the way, me included. We're well within our right to talk about the pros and cons of what is going on in Israel. Now, I happen to be 100,000, and you might disagree, and that's fine. But I'm 100,000% with Israel on this because I believe that the attack a couple of years ago was just so horrendous that Israel needs to do what it needs to do to root out Hamas. That being said, I totally get the other side.
I mean, I don't think this is even like a war with Israel versus Hamas topic so much. Like, the fact of the matter is, yes, he would get pressure from donors when he would have people that said things that the donors don't like on stage.
Yeah.
When he had Candice Owens at an event a few years ago after she had made some Israel comments, they had to, and this is public record. I don't want to tell tales out of school, and I love everybody at Turning Point, but they had to make a landing page about how Charlie was pro-Israel on the website.
Well, he had to do in that interview with Megyn Kelly, he had to do 1,000 disclaimers. You can be pro-Israel and still have misgivings about how they're going about trying to root out Hamas.
But people get so emotionally riled up about the topic anytime Israel comes up that you have to start like looking at it. And at times I look at it and I don't get emotional. Like,
right.
I'm not over the top on either side, and I listen to arguments, and that's fine. Like that's great. But at times it feels like in the conservative movement, Israel is our Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
And like, you can't criticize it at all. How dare you? You're one of them, aren't you? And it's like, well, no, I'm not. I'm just asking questions. Yeah. And by doing anything like that, it drew the ire of the donors. And I mean, you can go back and find all the clips.
Right.
Like the week after October 7th, Charlie's on the Patrick Bet David podcast, and he said, was there a stand down order? And that's a legitimate question. Like, whether you want to admit that or not, that is a legitimate question in a country the size of New Jersey.
Well, and just so people understand, if they don't understand, was there a stand down order? So Benjamin Netanyahu going through a very tough political time.
50% of the country hates him. Millions in the street protesting him.
And so the theory is, and you and I talked about this on our podcast.
Mostly peaceful.
The theory is that there was a stand down order to allow Hamas to come in, kill all those people. That would rile up a bunch of support, galvanize people in support of Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm assuming that Netanyahu said no.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they categorically deny it.
Right.
But Charlie would ask those questions.
Of course.
And that would piss people off. And Charlie never went out and said, yes, that's exactly what happened. He said, I've been there, and that gives me pause.
Yeah.
But Charlie wasn't afraid to talk about these things.
Isn't this what we've been saying about Charlie Kirk since he was assassinated and before that, is that his whole thing was the conversation.
Free speech and debate. And that's exactly what we should still be fighting for. And when Dan does a great segment on what Candice is talking about, what the internet's talking about, because let's be honest, this is the conversation online right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially given the light of these text messages that seem staged on some level, depending on which side you're on, which we're going to talk about during my show, it only adds more fuel to the fire. And then anytime you ask a question to be called an anti-Semite, you're like, okay, why am I being called an anti-Semite?
So let's talk about the text messages.
Yeah.
So when I read the text messages, I thought a number of things. Number one is it seems to me, and folks were talking about the text messages between the suspect and his furry tranny lover guy, boyfriend. And so I thought, well, it seems like what's going on is the suspect is writing this to provide cover for his boyfriend, where it's like, I did this in secret, essentially saying that you didn't know about any of this. I think my theory is that he was the suspect. He knew a lot about guns. He made that shot, allegedly,
He grew up hunting.
Conservative 2A11 household. And then he ends up in this culture where he's online with all of these, subreddit threads and the trans culture, the violent trans culture. You've got the furries, the Antifa, trans Tifa, the whole thing. And so he's embedded in this culture. He ultimately then takes out Charlie Kirk. And then my question would be, okay, so is he a patsy for this culture? Because as I've been talking about throughout the show today, you've got Kash Patel saying that they're looking at some of these organizations who seem to have and posted that they may have known that this was about to happen.
Like Armed Queers, SLC.
The Trantifas.
The Trantifas.
The trans Tifas and all that kind of stuff.
So the two prevailing theories online are that either it was faked by the two individuals in the text message to provide that cover, or that it was faked by feds.
Yes. And I think that a lot of people are going down that road.
Because they say that it's boomer speak as opposed to...
It's boomer and cop speak. So, if it was the two individuals, they gave it away in the line where he says, you remember when I was engraving those bullets? Mm-hmm. So if it's those two trying to create a cover story and an alibi, you blew it because you let know that there was knowledge of something beforehand in the text messages. Then the flip side is if it's cops, there's a lot of feds, there's a lot of cop speak in it. There's one vehicle lingering. The way they create an alibi for the old guy immediately.
Everybody knows, and Joan, you'll remember this from your traffic reporting days. You never say vehicle, you say car.
Yeah.
Vehicle lingering,
right?
town got locked down. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point. I mean, all these...
Drop point
is in there. Mm-hmm. It's just...
Sam had an interesting perspective on it.
Said squad car?
Squad car, yeah.
Who talks like that?
Sam said... Sam, go ahead with the voice speak.
So I feel like in this moment, he's obviously watching over the scene of things. I'm not going to be taking my eyes down and texting something long form with my thumbs out, but I would put the voice text on, and I would try my best to get punctuation and articulate my words and everything. And are we really going to try and dive into the mind of Tyler Robinson and the vernacular he chooses to describe the things around him as he's actively sending messages?
Yeah, but we can decide what's not likely.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people saying this is not how 20-somethings text back and forth. I didn't...
Yeah, my initial reaction was it felt like feds trying to sound like gay Zoomers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That honestly, like I don't know how you describe it any differently. Just vehicle lingering, just the use of the vernacular, squad car.
Yeah.
I think they already swept. I think they already swept that spot.
Okay, now I'm going to throw something out at you though. His dad was a sheriff.
This is true.
27 years.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
He grew up around it in the culture, and the language. I mean, part of the reason I know what I know is my parents are attorneys.
Yeah.
I grew up around the language.
That could explain some of it. But
but here's the thing, is that this is what's out there, and so label it conspiracy theory, label it as a theory. But the term conspiracy theory to me, I've been called a conspiracy theorist many times in my life, and I've been proven right. So
I think one of the heartbreaking things about this is we've reached a point in culture where we're never going to have a consensus on the truth again.
No, that's a great point. We will never have a consensus on the truth. Well, I think do we at least accept that this guy was the shooter?
I do, yeah.
So my opinion is this guy is the shooter. But all of those other layers of the trans groups, the armed, the tranny armed,
organizations, Armed Queers SLC.
Armed Queers SLC. I did a thing on them earlier, and it's just, you're right. I don't think we'll ever have a consensus on what ultimately happened. There's always going to be people that said Israel is behind it. There's always going to be people that say that
to the Israel people,
like,
you have to bring more evidence than just Charlie clips.
Right.
Like, both things can be true, and that's where I stand. Yes, I truly do believe Charlie was getting pressured from some of his biggest donors. He said it himself.
Yeah,
we don't have to theorize. He said it. So that's true. I also think a deranged person with mental illness who is motivated by leftist ideology took a shot and killed Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
But I don't think we'll ever have a consensus on it ever again.
Nope.
Well, I think the government ruined that for us all through COVID, through the JFK files, Epstein. I think the government has ruined our ability to feel like an explanation is the real truth.
I'm going to talk about 9/11 Saudis.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that. I did a segment on that last week called A Conspiracy Theorist.
I know, but this is where we're at.
But you know what? But here's the deal. If people want to call me a conspiracy theorist, that's fine.
It's better than calling you an anti-Semite. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that too.
But that stuff, when people, you realize you're devaluing the term.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like, do you understand that? Like,
well, what have we always said about when you call Trump Hitler?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You are sanitizing what Adolf Hitler did. And that's what we accuse the left of doing. So if I'm an anti-Semite by, just presenting the story the way that I did, seems a little just bizarre to me. But again, there's a reason why I did it at the end of the show.
Yeah. You knew I'd be listening.
Because I can go to Starbucks and order a Charlie Kirk.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to.
So can somebody please explain to me what is happening?
This is coming up in my news. Do you want to play the audio again?
Spoil it, Joan.
Yeah, I will.
So apparently people are going into Starbucks and they're ordering a Charlie Kirk.
Or they're asking to have the name put on their order.
They're asking the name.
Didn't Charlie like a certain matcha drink?
He liked
matcha with a couple
mint
honeys.
tea with 2 honeys.
Which I want to try that. That sounds really good. Anyway, so
do you want to hear the audio or
go
do
ahead.
we not have time for that?
No, we got time.
Okay, good.
The name is Charlie Kirk.
We can't do political names, but it didn't even ask for a name to begin with, so it's going to be $3.75, okay?
Oh, but can you write the name on the cup?
The sticker won't print.
Oh, you can't write on that?
I could, but I could write Charlie.
Why can't you write the whole name?
Because it's political.
Political?
Yeah.
You know what? Forget it. I don't want it.
Okay.
And out she goes.
Yeah.
Good for her. Go to Dunkin's.
Dunkin' Donuts has great coffee.
They do.
Hold on. Now, apparently we're being Tyler Robinson's father, Matt Robinson, is not in law enforcement of any kind. Early media reports speculated that he was a 27-year veteran of the Washington County Sheriff's Office, but apparently he was not, is from what I'm seeing.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting. But in the text message, he said he was turning himself into a friend who was a deputy.
A friend who was a deputy. Yeah.
Yes.
But his dad was owned a construction company. But you can be a long-time law enforcement officer and then work in construction. So, after you retire. Whatever. Okay, so.
I don't know.
I stand well damned. By the way, if you ever want to use that, if you're ever corrected by a listener, if you want to say "I stand well damned" as opposed to corrected,
I think
you can go ahead and do that.
I think we could start something.
Put it on a hashtag, man.
I rarely get corrected.
Really? Dwayne would Dwayne from yesterday. Holy mac. Was that yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, Dwayne.
I got all these people that were texting me, telling me that you were under verbal assault. So
some people are emotionally heartbroken over the narco terrorists that get bombed. So it's tough.
Is that what Dwayne's problem was?
He called them fishermen.
Whatever.
He also said Trump started 7 wars.
I heard that, and that actually made no sense. It's like, no, he didn't.
I was like, we're already starting off on a bad foot.
And if he wanted to talk about starting wars, and one of the examples he had was Iran. Well,
no, but I hand fed him that one because I was like, okay, so you're obviously talking about Venezuela, and then I'll give you Iran because I think you're going to go there. Name the other 5.
Right. That's exactly what you did. And I mean, I know where you're going with that, but no, he didn't start a war with Iran. They haven't responded because they're unable to respond.
But for the benefit of the argument,
of the doubt,
for the benefit of the argument, I'll give you those 2.
You were trying to get him to go somewhere because he was just like
he was very angry.
I mean, I had to wipe my face off listening on the radio because he was spitting so much.
He was
what I said right there.
Call in today, Dwayne, if you want to, anytime. I like those kind of calls.
Yeah, I know you do.